Thank you. This advertisement for a high-def TV is one of the most depressing ads I've ever seen. Why? The tagline at the top says, "Reality, what a letdown." You've heard of political attack ads. This is an attack ad on life itself. I was planning to ask you to hold hands for a second, but swine flu killed that idea. But if we all did, you'd feel human contact, skin on skin. That's reality. And this, it's just a picture of reality, which may seem obvious, but it's a distinction that often eluded me. For almost 20 years, I was a writer and editor at National Geographic Magazine. It was a great place to work with lots of talented people, and today I'm still a society member. But along the way, I learned how and why pictures can become a problem. I learned that our eyes can mislead us, pictures can blind and desensitize us, and that this is actually a very old problem. So a few quick stories. First, images can obscure what matters most. I once pitched my editors a story about reconciliation in Australia. At the end, the picture editor said to me, "Okay, a white guy hugs an Aborigine. Great picture, but there won't be anything else to shoot." He couldn't picture reconciliation, so the story was never approved. Second, images can desensitize us. Ed Wardle stars in a new National Geographic TV show. His goal, to trek the Yukon alone and shoot video of himself falling apart along the way. By episode 2, he was starving and weeping. One viewer tweeted, "For a man that's starving and going a bit nuts, his camera work is always great." Yes, Ed is dying, but what amazing pictures. Of course, Ed's suffering is not an accident, it's the whole point. One viewer tweeted, "Awesome show, I'm hooked already." National Geographic replied, "The next 2 episodes are even better as he really starts to struggle mentally and physically." Even better? Third, some years ago, National Geographic ran an ad campaign to promote the brand. The ads had great images of our explorers doing exciting things. And for $15, you too could join the adventure. But the ad campaign failed, and I think this is why. The subtext was insulting. It said, in effect, we're on an adventure and you're not. We're flying around the pyramids while you're just lounging at home eating Cheetos. In other words, the real adventure is somewhere else. Fact is, I've absorbed that message anyway. I feel it whenever I reach for my phone, seeking that adrenaline hit of somewhere else. And so I stop paying attention to the here and now, and my life begins to feel like a letdown. Fourth, Geographic loves ancient Egypt because photographers have so much to shoot. One year I worked on a story about Egypt's Valley of the Kings. During the day I wrote respectfully about the great contributions of Pharaoh. But in the evenings, this was during Passover and Easter season, I attended a Bible study in Bethesda. We read Exodus, the story of the Hebrews' escape from Pharaoh, thanks to the divinely inspired leadership of Charlton Heston. Pharaoh by day, Moses by night, the stark contrast between their two worldviews hit me when we read the second commandment. Thou shalt not make graven images. On perhaps the greatest top 10 list of all time, this prohibition ranks higher than murder and adultery. What's the big problem with images? Here's one guess. We become transfixed by them. We make pictures of pictures of pictures, and we become immersed in our own creations instead of seeing creation. Walled in, it's easy to think that maybe reality is a letdown. I don't have any magic fixes to this problem, just some ideas. Chief among them, unplug. Just slow down and look and listen. Second, consider this excerpt from a Kurt Vonnegut book. Harry the fisherman scowled at a picture of a girl in a bikini. Fred, afraid that he seemed a sexless person to Harry, tried to prove otherwise. He nudged Harry, man to man. "You like that, Harry?" he asked. "Like what?" "The girl there." "That's not a girl, that's a piece of paper." "Looks like a girl to me," Fred leered. "Then you're easily fooled," said Harry. "It's done with ink on paper. That girl isn't lying there on the counter. She's thousands of miles away. If this was a real girl, all I'd have to do for a living would be to cut out pictures of big fish." Finally, watch this movie again at Christmas. It's an argument against joining the adventure. As a boy, George Bailey saw eye-popping pictures in National Geographic and dreamed about traveling the world. He grows up, but he never gets out of Bedford Falls, which is partly what drove him to the brink of suicide. The magic of the movie, of course, is he eventually sees the real adventure was never somewhere else, but right there in his own community. Those exotic pictures of faraway places ultimately pale beside the wonder that is our own lives, because reality isn't a letdown, it's the greatest adventure of all.